We want to thank our sponsors. We've had some fabulous sponsors, especially at our fundraising event, chip in this year. And we especially want to thank the Artist Coalition for the use of this beautiful space. Okay, so this is what you're in for. Our entrepreneur will present for 10 to 15 minutes, and then you get to brainstorm with her for 40 minutes, and then we'll do some wrap-up announcements, and we'll have you out of here within an hour. So let me tell you a little bit about Amanda. And I'll just read it off here. I've got my notes. But Amanda Jolley has been sharing her successful artistic paintings and exhibits, public artworks, and workshops for 10 years. In addition to many group shows, Amanda has been in several solo exhibits. She is a self-taught artist who knows no bounds. Her large-scale public art piece can be seen at the University of University of Kansas Medical Center. Plus, Amanda's workshops have international reach, and they are often sold out. She has a chapter published in the book Encaustic Revelation. Let's welcome Amanda to our stage.
Thank you. Does this sound okay right here, this volume? Okay. I better get my notes out first. So, I'm Amanda Jolley, and 2 blocks north of here is my studio. This is the outside of my studio. It was an old auto repair building at one point. And I better get my notes in the proper order. There we go. That'll make a lot more sense. So here is one of my pieces. The work I'm showing here is encaustic, and encaustic is the predominant medium in my practice. Encaustic is melted from beeswax, tree resin, and pigment. It's painted while in molten form. I'm drawn to encaustic because it's tactile and has sculptural qualities about it. Origami and collage are often frequent practices that the processes all have a dialogue with one another. Here is one of the pieces with some of my origami in it. While encaustic is wonderfully versatile, the materials are quite expensive. To reduce costs, I host demos, request sponsorship from encaustic paint suppliers when teaching workshops. The sponsorships are paid in product, and I also establish relationships with other vendors that pay in product when using my work for promotion. But my ultimate goal is to sell more of my work as I'm producing it. My artwork is generally marketed via social media and my website, and I do occasionally enter group shows, but like to focus more on solo exhibits so I can introduce a body of work rather than a piece or two. I price my work based on a square inch pricing system that is a big picture look at potential cost of materials and time invested, along with the comparative pricing of other like artists. I do not have gallery representation. So a little bit more beyond the painting, I also host workshops and teach workshops at my studio. Pre-pandemic, I would host around 4 to 6 guest artists per year and would teach about 4 of my own workshops. Inviting guest artists to teach was a strategy to further my own education, as I would invite artists that I wanted to study under. Although I have both taught and hosted a workshop this year, my workshop schedule has not rebounded since the pandemic by my own choosing. I may resume to a fuller schedule once I feel the pandemic spikes settle down. To fill the income gap caused by the loss of in-person workshops, I accepted an invitation to teach as one of 26 instructors for an international and online encaustic course in 2021 that drew over 1,700 students. The course has just ended, and I now have full ownership of the videos produced for this workshop, and I'm exploring how best to make these available to the public. I also have access to a full video crew and equipment to produce more videos and feel this is an area I could explore. Marketing my workshops and the art is done via email list and newsletter and on social media. I have an international reach with the farthest traveled student coming from Wales and have paintings spattered across the US, Canada, and Europe. I actually market the workshops minimally on social media because they fill so quickly, which is wonderful. This is due to the initial groundwork that began 15 years ago when I would travel to retreats alongside just the reputation I built for inclusion and judgment-free artistic exploration in my workshops. I flounder with marketing my own artwork, though, beyond a social media post or exhibition. So here are my goals for the next 5 years. To shed a better light on my goals, challenges, and needs, I need to share that I'm neurodivergent, and the way my brain and body works creates a struggle with the hustle required to sell my work, and hurdling of hoops and gates required to be an established artist within the current art system and structure. I'm looking for solutions that will accommodate my operating system. With that in mind, my goals include wanting to establish a better way of promoting and selling my own work that works with and not against my abilities. I would like to gain funding to support installation art exhibits. I have several projects in mind that I really need to get going. I'm very excited about them. I would also like to establish a grant-funded residency program. I have a space that would allow for artist residents to stay and then have 24-hour access to the studio. I could, charge for that, but I would prefer providing an opportunity for artists that doesn't financially exclude artists. I'm considering forming a nonprofit or partnering with an already formed nonprofit that would be a good fit to accomplish this goal. I'd also like to establish or find and join a think tank for neurodivergent and disabled artists. My challenges. My challenges are getting to the next page on my notes. Okay. Excuse me. And challenges include increasing income to enable me to hire the support that I need. That would include increasing painting sales, monetizing videos, other revenue streams that work with my flow. Grants are an option. Another challenge, which I've briefly mentioned, is navigating the hustle of the current art system while managing my own support needs as a disabled person. The ideas I am looking for here are specifically how to maintain a presence in the arts community that doesn't require social demands and networking for success or validation, and that allows for a variance in physical capacity and output expectations. I need a different approach than see and be seen or produce prolifically. I also need to be cautious about being spread too thin or dividing my focus. So I would also like ideas in generating an income that would allow hiring this support, of course, which I've mentioned. I'm stuck in that paradoxical, I need to generate more income to hire support, but cannot generate more income without that support. My current needs are the staff or the support in form of staff, interns, consultants, or groups. It would be amazing to have an agent or art system navigator, somebody to help me in the areas that I'm weakest, and a studio assistant to help with time management, inventory tracking, and prepping work for exhibition or prepping the studio for workshops. A marketing manager for promotion on social media and other platforms, and a grant writer. I have recently been a part of a grant writing Zoom meeting with the critique group here in town, which was fabulous, very beneficial information, and I'm looking to expand my knowledge there. So. So I often feel spread too thin and with juggling all the aspects of my business, as is common for many artists. And as can be common with autistic people, I find it a challenge to shift from one aspect of my work to another, such as from painting to marketing or bookkeeping. I get stuck in spaces, so navigating those shifts is more difficult for me. I also feel that social media is changing and, in my perception, losing its efficacy in marketing my work and marketing people's work in general. So someone to help ride whatever wave or have foresight as to what would be a better platform or way to market. I need a new way of marketing myself that will also not drain the life out of me. There's a challenge. Or feel disingenuous. Authenticity is very important to me. So thank you very much. A huge thank you to GuildIt, because this is just an amazing opportunity, and I look forward to gleaning the insights that you all have.
Okay. Well, thank you, Amanda. So let's give her a round of applause. It's always, it's the most challenging thing to speak in public, and but especially with your workshops, and no boundaries. So you've been great to work with, and great presentation. Thank you. All right. Well, does anyone want to kick off our questions on growing Amanda's business?
So one of the thoughts I had while you were talking, when you're talking about the residency, which I think is an awesome idea, if you want to tailor it to having a neurodivergent artist be part of the residency, I'm wondering if you might want to reach out to CJ Charbonneau, because she does a lot of work with the whole person. I don't know exactly if that organization addresses neurodivergent issues, but I think she'd be someone good for you to contact and talk to on a one-to-one basis about the residency and getting funding for it, because she's just really a wonderful person and has so many resources in that area. So that was one of the thoughts that came to my mind. And then the second thought I had was that I think you would be a great feature for Create Magazine. And they feature a lot of female artists and what they do, but I think you would make a great, I think your story is awesome. The fact that you do the workshops is great. Of course, I love your art because I have several of your pieces. But I just think that you would be a great fit for them to do a profile feature on. So those are my 2 suggestions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to let you all know, I am taking notes, because if I'm not moving my hand while I'm listening to you, I won't actually hear your words. So I'm writing down too. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Do we have another question?
Hello. About the marketing piece. So UMKC has Enactus, and a group of students in Enactus, they help with businesses and the community of Kansas City. That would be a good resource to maybe reach out to them to see if they can help with the marketing piece, help you establish how to promote that. They're good at helping in different areas that you're needing. So I would reach out to Enactus.
Yeah, they have a group just specifically that works with artists. So definitely they are a worthwhile group. They've attended our events before and promoted their organization, which would probably be good to reach out to them again. But okay, thank you. Other questions? And we're using the mic today just because, so we make sure to pick the voice up on Facebook. So, all right. Well, I have another way to get a fiscal, to do grants and such, and get donations actually that are tax-free, is going through a local nonprofit or the nonprofit called Fractured Atlas, who is established for artists specifically. and they're based in New York City. They were our fiscal agent before we became a nonprofit, and you don't even have to gear towards being a nonprofit. You just, if you're an artist and you want to take donations and tax-free, you can go through Fractured Atlas, and they do take a small percentage. But again, especially if you're going after grants, it's worth it because they do want to see that nonprofit, or at least the fiscal agent part of it, and I can tell you more about that later. But yeah. All right. Other questions? Over here.
Just on a personal note, I have a friend who's a fabulous painter, and she had a spinal stroke and is just very disabled. She got online, she said there's so much money for disabled artists. She said, I've never had so much money. No strings attached. She's got 2, 3, 24-hour caregivers. She paints like a... So I'll be happy to connect you with her. She's in Michigan.
That would be awesome.
She's really...
Terrific. And so did we have a question over here? No? Okay. Yeah, and then two, I wanted to, and someone may be able to concur on this, but I think a good way to also promote your own work is to really post your own work, your own artwork when you are posting to have a workshop, because your page, your social media pages are probably getting a lot of activity when you're promoting a workshop, and that's probably a good time to start also promoting your artwork during that time period. I know it's more posting, but it's probably going to be the most beneficial time for you to promote your artwork. Marissa?
Just kind of going back to some of your needs and challenges, just to add another resource for volunteers, Northland CAPS has a lot of great volunteer opportunities. They are high school students, and it's almost like a year-long project. So they would be with you for kind of a longer duration, which might be useful in kind of addressing some of your challenges and needs in kind of a long-ranging way. Also, on the coalition stories on our Instagram, we just posted a 10-month residency program in New York that's fully funded, and the application is due at the end of next month, and that might be an option for you to look into if you're interested. They house you out of the World Trade Center in New York. So that's an interesting one. It's just looking at residencies and fully funded, and I'm sure it's very competitive, but it never hurts to try. And then I was just thinking too about your conversation around like social media not being very fulfilling or effective. Have you thought about starting a Patreon at all?
I have considered that. That is one of the avenues, because I think it would be a platform that I could also introduce the videos and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's not that, I think social media is just changing, and I think our engagement with it is also changing, and so I think the world as a whole is getting a little bit weary of social media.
So I think that Patreon is a really great resource for a lot of artists right now looking to monetize. You still are probably going to have to use some sort of like Instagram or Facebook to redirect all those people to your Patreon, but I think with your workshops and your artwork itself, you could have a really thriving Patreon, because I also don't feel like there's a lot of people really sharing technique and the vast amount of knowledge you have in encaustics here, at least in Kansas City for one, if not the region and beyond. So it would be really, I think it'd be very interesting to people. And you do have a really robust following through your workshops, through your classes, and through, your already kind of vibrant social media channels. So redirecting to people to that would be really, I think those people would be excited to have that fulfilling engagement on Patreon, be willing to pay for it. So, yeah.
Other questions we have at the moment? One thing I wanted to mention, when we had another caustic painter here, Robin, Paul Tyler had attended, and he's formerly with Arts KC, retired now, and he gave her some great advice. He says, you know, and I don't know what you're pricing yours at particularly, but he thought she was pricing her work too low, considering the longevity of the work and the time-consuming process it takes. So do kind of look at, you know, how much time you put into work, and then use the longevity to sell the work. And that's one of the things too. She didn't have a promo video at the time, and so she did a promo video detailing the process. And then she also detailed the longevity of her pieces, because there's still pieces from, you know, ancient Egypt that are still existing encaustic works. So these are pieces that can be passed down generations within a family, so those are something to consider. You can easily see what other artists in the area are charging for non-encaustic pieces in the abstract realm. So yeah. And two, Marissa mentioned North Caps. They also do project videos. So they did a promo video for us in 2020. Again, that was free of charge. So you can have them for long term, for semester long or year long, or you can have them for just project work. So, other questions? What is the progress you're making on are you looking for a gallery or an agent or both?
I think it would be great to have an agent, actually. One of the reasons that I haven't approached a gallery is that my work process is sporadic, and it depends on the energy that is available, you know, my own capacity. And so I have hesitated in approaching a gallery because I didn't think I could consistently show up with their demands. So it is something that I know a dialogue with a gallery owner would be helpful, to actually talk to them about it rather than making these assumptions myself, because I'm sure there are some galleries that would be willing to work with my own output and capacity. But an agent would be, yeah.
I was going to say that if you do want to reach out to a gallery, I think you should start your process by talking to Louise Fletcher at Smelter Gallery. She's just such a wonderfully open person, and I think knowing you and knowing her personality-wise, I think you two would just really super click. I think she would dig your work, and I think it would be worth starting a conversation with her. That would be my first thought.
I do know Lee, I agree there.
Okay.
Amazing person.
Yes. So anyway, that was my thought on galleries.
Perfect.
So I come from a different side, it's more graphic side, but I thought of it I struggle with all the same things that you just put up there, that's why I've been so quiet. I'm like, what can I help with? But I just bought that Graphic Artists Guild Guide to Ethical Pricing book, and it is so nice and handy to have on hand because it's sort of a general overview, and even though it's for like graphic design and illustration side of things, it covers like why you should charge, what you should charge, how you can value your work and all that. And ever since I bought my first copy back in 2003, and I've been using it ever since. It's just like a little go-to. So it might be something you could add to your library, just because it's just like a little Bible.
What's the name of it again?
It's the Graphic Artists Guild Guide to Ethical Pricing. And it's been around for many years. They come out with a new one every 3 years, I think. And so the new one came out, I think, in 2021. And I just ordered it this year, but it'll last you a long time. And it's a book that you can just like refer to. It's not like, here's what you should charge by the dollar, but it's like, here's why you should charge this and adjust accordingly to what you feel is necessary. And it has helped me because I've upped my game since I went back to freelance. And so I have had to go back and really reassess my value and my contracts and all that stuff, and everything's in there. So that's my offering to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did have an experience, I had a piece at a show in New York at the gallery and didn't consider regional pricing and the difference between what I could sell my piece for here in the Kansas City market, and boy was I undervalued there and really regretted that.
I don't know if anything regarding art is going to be in there, like specific like fine art, but illustration's really close to that anyway, so it would apply. And they have the artist in mind, so they got it.
I just want to know, did you do prints with your work?
Did I do
Prints.
Prince.
I have had an experience with prints, and that's actually why I put the thing about the focus in there, because I found it totally spread my focus. I think if I had a process established, that would be great. It's getting it established. So I do have some prints of my work in a commercial building, some very large scale prints. And they look fabulous, and I could see going that route. But yeah, it's the hardest part for me is getting the ground laid and taking those steps to establish a process. So that is a brilliant idea, yes.
And have you tried the Bunker Art Center as a possible gallery? Either
I have
for
not.
representation
I
or to
should talk
show
to
it?
TJ, yes.
Yeah, because I just put my prints there, and and that's one thing. Once if the gallery comes to represent you, then they will go ahead and order the prints for you and do the shipping and all that. So
Hey.
yeah, and my piece is really special because it's on Ukraine, so it really triggered him. But that's the only piece he's working with of mine, so he can even just do a piece or two, especially print, or but getting in there and getting a show is a good thing, and I'm sure it'll lead to sales, and it may lead to other things as well. Other questions? Oh yeah, here we go.
At Fine Art America and are you familiar with those online galleries that sell your work and ship for you?
Like Fine Art America?
Yeah.
I haven't explored that avenue.
That's something very interesting. I have several artist friends that do very well off Fine Art America.
Is that prints, or is that?
They do prints and they'll do.
They do all kinds of stuff.
Do they?
They'll take your art, that you upload in digital form, and they'll print it on all kinds of stuff. The people just order they do prints, canvases, metal, on stuff like that. But they also do
So it's taking an image and then
I
expanding
don't know
it
if
that
they
way.
work with originals or not.
That was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
don't know. I don't know if they do. I signed up on it, but I haven't done anything with it yet. And there was another one called Saatchi, S-A-A-T.
I've heard of Saatchi.
I think they do deal with originals.
And then Teresa Dirks uses a national one too, and has had success selling her originals off of that. And then one thing that I highly recommend is if you have a family member who lives in a big metropolitan area, have them connect with a gallery. She has a family member who lives in California, and they connected her to a gallery there. They went into the gallery, said you should consider this person, et cetera, so forth. And so they represent her in California. And we had a performance artist. He tours, and he gets friends in various cities to go to these, to the venues and talk to the venue owner about having him work there. And then if he's booked by the venue, then he gives them a small percentage of of the gig money. So.
That's the kind of agent I need.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So, and two, if you have a, you know, an artist friend, or I've gone in and recommended to the Weinberg Gallery about Robin's work, and they said they had been looking for an Encaustic artist, and so they were her gallery up here in Kansas City for a year. So sometimes it pays to have someone else be your voice, and that could just be a friend. So, yeah. All right, any other questions? The moment. Can you bring up your slides again? Just touch your space bar. And have you had any success grant writing?
I have not attempted grant writing,
Okay.
so that's a new avenue, and it's something I just started considering. I actually had a request to have someone do a residency in my space,
Mhm.
and when I put a number on it, I just realized for it to actually work, it might really price some people out. And so that's what got me thinking about the grant writing. So actually making it accessible by having it grant supported rather than artist supported.
So the Urban Art House has these workshops on running the business. And I think there's a set of 10 workshops, and one of them covers grant writing. So I know Natasha Ray has one going right now at the Center for Spiritual Living on 39th Street. And Marissa, are you guys starting an artwork sometime soon? Okay.
This is next month.
Okay.
I was going to talk about it.
Yeah, so Marissa will tell you more about that. But again, you can drop in and drop out. So there's topics, it covers an array of topics. One of them is grant writing, and you can drop in on that, and you can drop in on others. So you'll hear more about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Natasha's on grant writing specifically?
Well, I mean, she does. It's the same workshop that our school is having.
Okay,
It's the
gotcha.
same series. So, an Urban Art House has a large grant for it, and so they've been able to fund different arts organization and artists to present on it. So, let me see. Has anyone here had a grant from Arts KC? And so that's someone, too, if you have someone, if you want to present a workshop, or if you have someone who wants to present a workshop, they could consider getting an Arts KC inspirational grant too. And that's what, $1,500, I believe. It funds up to $1,500. All right. And so I'm going to ask Sam, do you have any questions?
It's not really a question, but Crystal Marie on Facebook says, this is so relatable to me. So good to have that validation.
Yes, yes.
And then, has anyone had any or heard of any luck in getting studio assistants or interns? I know we mentioned North Caps, but have you found a really good source?
There are opportunities for studio assistants through the Art Institute. So it would be a semester. So as long as you just get set up with them, you just have to fill out a small amount of paperwork. You may need to get an insurance writer. And then they will then, the students choose, where they want to be at. But there's so many students over there that might really be interested in encaustic work that it's really beneficial for you and them.
I have approached the Art Institute. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago on having an assistant for the workshops because I thought they would want to attend for free, but I didn't find any. But I'll approach them with the assistant. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, because I would think too, because they can make so many connections at the workshop as well and hear
Right.
from other artists. Sometimes sometimes you get one person in. I know, like the French they get interns from Central Kansas, Emporia.
Mhm.
So they get interns who live from Emporia State University, who live here in Kansas City. But and they just gotten interns after interns from there because the one intern spoke so highly, and she interned them for 3 summers, and then
Oh, wow.
and then they just have a regular rotation there of interns coming from their program. So it's sometimes it's worth keeping at it, because if you do get one, then the professors know more about it and can recommend it more.
Right.
And let's go to your challenges, because that's
Okay.
one of our specialties in helping artists. Okay, so monetizing videos, what is your thought on that?
Well, one of the things I had considered is what Marissa mentioned with the Patreon. I think I see other artists out there selling workshops as it, like a video workshop, and it's this much, and then I want to do something a little bit different where it's more interactive, so it's not just somebody watching a video, but also being able to have a dialogue about it, getting more out of it than just simply watching a how-to video. So yeah, there's questions there. Patreon is one idea. Other formats of getting videos out there with a little bit different twist on them than just the standard purchase my product.
This may be good to ask in the Urban Art House, because I know they've had someone, especially during COVID, do online workshops and pay, and she facilitated them through in Urban Art House, and they handled the payment of it. So it was a sketch artist, and I forget her name, but yeah, I've taken one of the classes and paid for it.
There's a painter out of the UK called Louise Fletcher. Have you run across her?
No.
Oh my gosh. First of all, her thing is, a really nice message about finding yourself, finding your own style, and she will help you get in touch with who you really are. So that's kind of a neat little message. But she does these little freebie, she's got an art club that you can belong to, where she gives a little blurb every once in a while, and people talk to each other. It's Facebook group. Then she'll do these little freebie things that are maybe 4 weeks long, and they are interactive. You post your work, you talk about your work, she talks about your work. So it's like a real live community, and you might get a kick out of just seeing her stuff. And she does a free email blurb once in 6 weeks or something like that.
Does she do this on her website, or does she have a Facebook
I think
group?
it's through Facebook.
Is it?
And so there's a stepped up thing where you can kind of take, she calls it a taster, and then you can sign up for a big course, which is $500 or something. So it was very interactive, very personal, and I just like kind of watching her work sometimes. So,
Can you repeat her name?
Louise, Louise Fletcher, FLE.
Oh, thank you.
TCG.
I just wanted to add on to that. I've been in Louise Fletcher's art tribe now for a little bit. She's in the UK, and her art tribe is £20 a month, so it's about $25 US on. And some of her stuff, I think, is a little more beginner oriented than you, but some of it is, I think, would be good. And yeah, she puts out, each month she does what they call a master class, and she talks about one specific subject. So this month was, I don't remember what this month was, but she has a month on finding your style. She would have a style, you find your style, but one on Instagram, one on your artist's website. So she does covers business stuff and art related stuff. And she has a Facebook group, and then once or twice a month, she has an actual Zoom call with people in the group that she talks with. So that's something like that as a model, might work for you too.
Is it similar to Canary Rising, which is another group we're both familiar with as well?
You know, actually, I never joined the Facebook group that she's got.
Okay.
But so I don't really know exactly what they do in the group, but there is, I don't know.
Okay.
She's different than Crystal. But, so yeah, but she does, what I like about her is that she does talk about, being yourself and not, you don't have to, all this crazy, stuff that, I don't know if she is a self-taught artist or she has a degree, but she doesn't really push any of that kind of, you gotta know all this and stuff like that, so. As a business model, I think something similar. Yours probably would be a little bit, but I think that you might not.
One other person you might, he was originally located out of Kansas City, Tommy Frank. He's Frank Art on Instagram. And he, during the pandemic, really began this monetization of videos for other artists. His speciality is ceramic artists. But he has done workshops in jewelry, metalsmithing, everything. And it's it's all done on Zoom, and you can contract with him to do this for you. So you wouldn't have to have all the camera gear. He facilitates it on the back end while you're just focusing on doing the work and process. And he's helping kind of talk with the audience to ask the questions to. He's managing the chats. He's doing all of that. And then afterwards, he gives anybody that's signed up access for X amount of days. So if he has established such a strong following that the people that subscribe and sign up for classes are across the world. So just because it's 5 o'clock in Kansas City, somebody in like Europe can't necessarily hit that time. They have the retake of the video to watch it, and then they can connect with you and ask questions. But he's done an amazing job of maintaining great visuals for the audience on the other side, and taking a lot of the work and stress off of the artist that's presenting. So he comes to you and does that, and it's been really successful. I know some folks they were saying they're making more off of doing the videos with him than they were doing classes across the country in person at the time. So it might be an option.
Good advice. All right. Other questions? Well, I think our videographer, why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
I was just going to say that I do have experience with live streaming events, and I'd be happy to talk with you later about some opportunities to maybe do some more video work or interactive video or some of the stuff along the lines. I was caught off guard here. I hadn't formed my thought completely,
Okay.
but we could definitely work something out to get you a little more exposure, get you some more people, get you in front of more people, and so yeah, I'd love to talk to you later.
That would be awesome. So I have a announcement. I own a video production company, but we actually don't delve into live streaming. So I would love to talk to you about that. That would be something really interesting. So
Yeah, he does live stream from 1 million cups. Plus,
that's awesome.
Yeah. He also has a video production business too. So good. All right. Well, then what other revenue streams have you tried or are you thinking of? Because you have on there other revenue streams that work with your flow.
I was hoping you all had great ideas for me and just throw them out and I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's it. So yeah, mostly the ideas I've heard have been absolutely helpful and wonderful. The big one I want to focus on, so because I want to continue my own work, is the huge one is the increasing my own painting sales and marketing that better. So, yeah.
So, yeah, we talked about promo videos of your work, places to
Yep.
sell it. Any other ideas, especially during COVID? Did you hear, videos were definitely becoming more popular in online workshops. Other ideas you've heard of selling your artwork? So I don't know if you, so commercial sales, Lindsay Gaza, who he had worked for Hallmark, and he had licensed his artwork quite a bit with Hallmark, but he learned quite a bit about licensing artwork, and that has become a career for him after his now post Hallmark is licensing with not only Hallmark, but he licensed with Kleenex, he licensed with Target, he licensed with a number of commercial companies, and really a lot of them are starving, looking for artists, and fresh ideas, because again, you've seen so many different Kleenex boxes designs, and so they always look for fresh artists to promote or fresh designs to promote. And of course, and his big thing too was starting to break into hotels and sell his artwork to hotels, which I think your artwork would be perfect for. So, and he was even going like from the art hanging on the wall to the carpet designs for hotels.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So he does very structured designs, and he also does very abstract designs.
Is he still local?
Yeah, I believe he's still local, Vinci Gaza. In fact, too, he's got a wonderful GuildIt video that you can use to give you an introduction how he goes about doing it, and then he does consulting. So it's a good way to preview him as a consultant.
Wonderful.
Okay, your other questions?
This is a quick off the top of my head thought, but I was thinking about how, like, there's virtual tours. Could you do like a once a month where you showcase, like 5 or 6 of your pieces? I wouldn't do them all at once because that'd be overwhelming, but then you can spread it out. And I know like Laura Berman does, she did a virtual tour because her show hit right before COVID. And it was awesome because I set up my phone in my kitchen and she walked through it, for 30 minutes, and it was just really cool. So I don't know if you do virtual tours, but you could do them on the regular, and then people would start tuning in, and then it could catch on, and it could be a way of like not having to see. I loved what you said about I don't want to have to rely on being out there and being seen and being prolific, but that is at your own pace. Except you'd have a goal like whatever you set. So I don't know. Now I want to do it
Bring
myself.
people in and well, you kind of do like with your posts of your stuff.
Yeah.
It's not, but yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and I get in the habit of it, and I just do it sort of to push myself. And they're usually like, even if it's just my dog, I've posted. But I think if you had a regular thing that you could push a little bit on your own terms, and then it would be kind of light and easy, and there's no obligation for anybody to have to show up. But I think it could gain some traction, and then it would be like, oh, what's going to come out this week or next month or something. And but when with your video company or experience, maybe you could, it'd just be all your own thing. And then you could direct it too. You could go in and I know I think it's much better to see art in person. You just see more detail. But you could zoom in where you want to zoom in and show what you want to show, and show all those awesome details of your stuff, because I love your stuff and I love seeing it. But I don't know, it was just a thought that went in my head. Thought I would share that.
That doesn't feel overwhelming either.
Yeah.
Like I love some of these ideas, and I think of all the things that I'll have to do to make them happen, and I'm like, oh. That feels very doable to me. So yeah, and it gives people a peek into my world and process.
You could curate, like, you could have fun with that, like whatever background you want to set. You don't have to always set it up in your studio. Maybe it's out in a park, or maybe it's, in in some other space or something that you just set up. Or, I don't know, it'd be really cool to see what you. No pressure.
I'll do a private one for you.
Yeah. That's all I
No,
know about it.
that's, I love that idea. I think I would play with that, yeah.
The Art Institute has guest speakers, and have you thought about, I don't know if I'm sure they have, there's so few acoustic artists that even if they have someone who just speaks on acoustic, they're probably not always available, and you might want to offer that to them, and you might get a chance to get in there and see what they have for studio space and for acoustic artists, and maybe look, since your studio is so close to the Art Institute, you may want to look at renting it out to the Art Institute or to students who want to do acoustic, because I know they have some wonderful workspaces on campus, but I don't know what they have for as far as acoustic. And it's really such a setup that your studio may even have more to offer than what they could. So that's something to consider.
Yeah. So what, do you know contacts at the Art Institute that would be helpful for?
Yeah, I could contact, our first fiscal agent was actually Hugh Merrill, and he was,
Okay.
he used to
All
work
right.
for the
Yeah.
painting department.
Yeah.
And so now he's with Foundations, but that might be, I'm sure I can get someone's name from him. And Laura Berman is a GuildIt alum, so I can also ask her as well. And put you in contact with someone who best to talk with about that. Good. Well, we have time for one more question. Any burning question?
I do have. I'm just curious, how did you start? You self-taught and craft, so I just want to know how you started, and maybe that will be also a way to spark some ideas of how you can actually also gain more students if you want to keep teaching, and people that want to start to.
So
That's a good question.
I started small, very, very small, and I started painting in books and traveled to a lot of, not a lot, but at least once a year would go to a large artist retreat in which there were a lot of options and different types of workshops so I could try, because I had I grew up with music and dance, but not art, not visual art, and have an accounting degree, so didn't have the hands-on experience to even know what I like to do. So that was pretty important to me. And that's how I was introduced to encaustic painting, was at one of those retweets? Retreats, yep. However many years ago. Way back in the 2000s, I can't believe it's that far, that long ago, but yeah. But yeah, that's a great perspective, looking at what caught me and then translating that to what would be interesting for other people that are beginning. That's a great perspective.
Sometimes we forget.
Yes, it is easy to forget. Get into the next zone and forget those initial phases, yeah.
Yeah, because, and two, just your process is so involving, and you might want to encourage people who's not a Robin Van Hooser, that this is a process that they can easily master at a workshop and produce something that's possibly sellable. And and definitely it's probably an enriching process because it's so hands-on.
Yes.
And so involving that even if they don't foresee a future in acoustic, it's a way to rejuvenate their love for art, because you really have to be involved in the piece to produce it. So, well, great. Well, are there any last items that, or last words you would like to leave us with as far as a community in order to support you and support your art?
I did want to touch on, I didn't know if I would have the opportunity, but something that can be difficult for neurodivergent artists is navigating the art scene and showing up in spaces where it's really crowded or the lighting's funky. And so I do have another goal that I actually took off of here because I think it'll happen organically, but it will be in educating art organizations and how to better support artists that may need accommodations to enter spaces that are overwhelming. So, and also, social interactions and things like that. Just awareness, I think, makes a huge difference. So that's a side note, but
I would check the whole person again. I know they've done workshops in the community about people with special needs, and it's a beautiful facility actually they have there. It's a wonderful facility. They're well supported. So I would check with them about resources they have and the outreach they do. So you can either parallel it or have them help you develop, or they themselves might want to develop something in this area and partner with Arts KC or such.
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, great. Well, why don't we give Amanda a big hand.
Thank you all so much for your feedback. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Terrific. It's a wonderful art form, and I'm glad you could share it with us. And your wonderful business, and being self-taught, and you really just have a drive. So wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get to our slides. Something happening at Charlotte Street Studios this weekend is on Saturday. They have open studios, so it's a great way to take a look at some of the young emerging artists that they have in visual arts, in dance, in film, performing, and writing as well. So they cover the gamut of all the art disciplines. They have emerging artists to bring back some of their experienced artists as well, who've been around since their since they began in their late 1990s. So check out their open studios. I believe it goes till like 11 p.m. on Saturday, and it's all free. Food will be there, and plenty of art, plus plenty of people. So, but masks are encouraged to reduce any possible infection. All right, then I will let the Artist Coalition, Marissa, talk a little bit about what they have going on here.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us this time. Thank you for our virtual audience as well for joining us. I just wanted to quickly touch on a few things that are happening here. Tomorrow night is the closing reception for our 27th annual undergraduate student show, which is on view currently in the front gallery, and the work from Gwen Murphy is also closing tomorrow evening. So we'll be in the galleries from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the juror for our student show, Kimi Kitada, who is the curator in residence at the Charlotte Street Foundation, will be here to speak at 6 p.m. We'll also be announcing the award winners for this show too, of the Lee Rosenberg Ernest Memorial Scholarship. So that's always fun to see the kids and get to congratulate those award winners. Again, that'll be here in person at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. And then going back to kind of what Susanna was talking about earlier, KCAC and Interurban Art House have a partnership in Work of Art, which is a professional business skills training class. We are both starting up our courses on the 12th of this coming month. KCAC's will be in person here, and Interurban's will be online. So we're kind of hitting it both sides for everybody's comfortability. These classes are free to KCAC Amplified members and or Interurban Art House members. But for those that maybe are just wanting one session or just to jump in here, there, and everywhere, but aren't ready to commit to a full membership, you can join virtually or in person to any of the courses for $20 per session. KCAC, we're going to be covering 2 sessions and cutting down the course timeline from 12 weeks to 6 weeks. So we'll do 2 sections each week. Interurban will be having theirs for the full 12 weeks, one session at a time. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to jump online either at the KansasCityArtistCoalition.org or interurbanarthouse.org. Happy to chat with you. And for those that maybe need scholarship assistance, that's also available through the Artist Coalition and Interurban Art House. So that's it in a nutshell. Thank you.
Great. And just to wrap it up, please tell your friends about GuildIt. We love seeing new faces and we appreciate seeing the returning faces. Donate to us and we welcome you to stay here and network and keep those great ideas brewing. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
Katrina.
I was just going to add that there are a couple of GuildIt alum artists and KCAC member artists at the Brookside Annual Art Fair this weekend. So if you're planning to go, Heinrich Toe will be there, and his work is amazing. He is a printmaker with beautiful, I would say his artwork leans to botanicals, and it's just gorgeous. And then Genevieve Flynn, who is a metalsmith and a jewelry maker, who makes beautiful work. She is also exhibiting at the Brookside Art Annual. So
Yeah.
stop by and show them some love if you're going.
Yeah, these are fabulous artists who have done Brookside before as well as other art fairs, and also the Brookside kicks off, and we're back to the Brookside kicking off our annual summer affair, so definitely a good time to go. It's going to be nice weather this weekend and great energy. Well, thank you very much, and you're welcome again to stay in network. We appreciate you.